fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
Gonna pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's gonna get them all done with. What amazing!
Lee to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is gonna touch in. Pit press, sideways, what a save!
Look to the outside, and Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I tried, there's contact though.
Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Venner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the Parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the Parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Makashube, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
It's the Temple of Speed. This is a magical place on the outskirts of Milan. This is Monza, and this place has been a part of racing heritage for those of an open wheel disposition for a very, very long time. And here on SimSpeed TV, it's the second round of the iRacing Grand Prix series, brought to you, of course, here with some amazing action as always. My name's Jake Sperry, Cameron Dance alongside me here for this one as we look to tackle the end stages of qualifying right now with just 2.5 minutes remaining at this point in time with it. Cam, this is a really, really special track. This race will go incredibly quickly, and what's more important is that track position around here is so vital.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's one of those tracks where you turn up in an F1 car and it's just an absolutely awesome sight to see and also drive as well. Yeah, it's just one of those magical things that you experience in racing. So you're looking forward to seeing what we're going to have today. And with the fact that this race is going to go so quickly, it wouldn't surprise me if we end up seeing, if not a better race than what we saw last week at Silverstone. And that was mad enough as it was.
And what's also going to be mad is how the strategy comes into play. We're on board with Daniel Bieder here in the Positive Sim Racing outfit, the Israeli driver going through the Ascari chicane and now making the run to Parabolica. Now here becomes a couple of different philosophies over the course of this race as Bieder slows it on down and abandons the final lap. Now here's the question. Do you go soft tyre and try and get yourself over to the end? Or do you put yourself in an entirely different strategy? Maybe go for the hard compound tyre, as we see Javi Rose on the medium right now trying to get things going. Could you potentially go for a zero-stop strategy on the hard compound tyre?
It's possible, but I don't know if you'd really want to because of the fact that the tyre wear is still going to be quite high, but the pace differential between, well, the pace differential in terms of drop-off between softs and hards is going to be probably enough to make a zero stop possible because of the fact that those hards are actually going to go the distance. So it's going to be one of those weird and interesting strategy calls that a lot of people are going to be, I think, thinking about. Based on the fact majority of the field is on soft tires, it's probably looking like it's probably going to be quicker to go softs, but who knows what's going to happen.
Well, this is Cedric Beale out on screen. Had a great run last time up through the field, is the only other driver out there technically on a lap, but is going to be out of time to finish that lap. So we'll get everything now up on screen. This is how qualifying has stacked up then from everybody here at Monza. And well, Ben Fuller has put the car on pole position again. He'll be looking for a much better run than last time though. 120.108, 2/10 clear of David Toth in second position, who finished second last time out. Tom Volstra starts from third with Michi Kaiser going from fourth position. Frederick Vesti starts this one from fifth with Jose Pleguezelos Langa in sixth position. Connor Ryan goes from seventh with James J. Pinsker in eighth place. Jarl Tayen in ninth position. He is a veteran of all simulators. Matthias Ottarola starts from 10th.
And you're going to go over the page to Christopher Montz, followed by Dennis Branch, Jamie Hall, and Matt Wood, Leandro Marks rounding out the top 15, Daniel Beda, and then you got John Miller in 17th. 18th, Mikhail Kotab, followed by Aaron Taylor and Sergio Fletcher rounding out the top 20.
Absolutely, likes the Leonardo Marquez will be looking for some great runs, but over towards 21st and on. Cedric Beale from 21st. Anthony Catt goes from 22nd with Thomas Veek there in 23rd. Edu Villa, Jody Mills, Tanner McCullough, and John Pat Kelly make those who made the times. And then there's Javi Rose and Jean-Philippe Gendron, who did not set representative laps in qualifying. 29 cars looking to try and take to the race across 4 splits worth of racing action. This series has come alive, and you can see how many soft tyres there are available to the drivers who will be looking to try and get a good run going forward. Ben Fuller will be on the pole position, but let's get up for you then the track temperatures and all of the other trimmings out here for how everything is going. It's 28 degrees on track, 26 in the air, and not much of a wind. These are perfect conditions then for racing around, maybe slightly oversteery, which could be a little bit of a worry for these drivers today. It's 200 kilometers worth of racing action. It's 35 laps that they've got to deal with today, and it's all about the run to the Variante di Rettifilo, turns 1 and 2 out on circuit, and whether everyone will survive the early goings of the racing. This is going to be some sensational action here, brought to you by SimSpeed TV. We'd like to welcome you to the conversation right now, and this is going to be everything. There's the green flag, and there is the get on and go, and it's a really, really good start then off of the front as they all try to jostle for position into the Rettifilo for the very first time, and on the brakes, it's nice and clear at the front, but as they funnel on through, bang! There goes 3, 4, 5, 7 off already in the opening stage. It's a calamitous start.
Yeah, a number of drivers involved there. You got Ottarola followed by as well Langer and a couple of others as well out in the wars, unfortunately. So there's going to be a few possible retirements there on the early stages, but it was probably a given that we were going to possibly see incidents based on the fact that it's 4 cars or more into a very, very tight chicane.
And it's always so very difficult to get it at the best of times. That wasn't the best of times as we look at Sergio Fletcher right now and Edu Villa making their progress here through the 2 Lesmo right-handers and back up the circuit. That's Jean-Philippe Gendron there getting through on Javi Rose and jumping up into 22nd. Here's the fight for second and third. Toth lost out actually then off the start to Tom Volstra, who will now look to try and defend. Ben Fuller's out to the tune of nearly 2 seconds at the moment at the front of the pack. Little think about the inside. Is this a dive at the Parabolica? You bet it is a dive at the Parabolica, and the Hungarian David Toth trying to go and get this one done, but Volstra is going to fight this one every stage of the way to the Rettifilo.
Yeah, he certainly is going to fight it all the way, and he ends up getting on by and going defensive, probably running a little bit less downforce as Volstra, but he managed to making it work here around Monza and retakes second place off David Toth.
And they can't afford to wait as there is Branch and Mills almost side by side there going on through the opening section. Oh, upside down there at turn 1 again. So twice in 2 laps, someone runs into drama. Spread eagle across the track. Who was that got caught up in all of that dramas that went on through? It looks like it could have been Matthias Ottarola going through on James J. Pinsker.
Yeah, it just looked like Aaron Taylor just behind James Pinsker made contact, and then everybody sort of
Volstra's
piled on in.
And Volstra's in trouble at the Della Roggia. Jody Mills is around as well, so it's all kicking off then, off at the start. So Toth now up into second position. There is Javi Ross trying to get through, and there's no front wing there, I think, for Volstra, who's struggling then, going on through. Look at him try and get on through, up towards Ascari. Yes, there is a front wing, but ultimately the pace is certainly not there, and it's effectively Freight Train City at the moment. What on earth has gone on at this start?
Yes, certainly. It's been a very, very wild start. This one, probably one of the more chaotic ones we've seen as well, with the fact that look at all the cars everywhere.
Absolutely, they're fanning out as that was Sergio Fletcher having to play the defensive card against Christoph Montz, who looked left, who looked right, tried to go around the outside. This is all the pack behind Cedric Beale. There's one taker into the lane. That's John Miller the third, who's dived down into the pits, so not ideal. Dennis Branch, also into the pits as well with damage from the early stages, so they are going to be offset and off-kiltered. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go to the hard compound tyre from now to take themselves all the way to the end of this race. Why wouldn't you? There's Tom Bolstra. There's someone going straight on.
Yeah, I'm surprised Volstra's continued on, considering he did actually hit the wall just before, and that's a result of the damage. But yeah, that's a little bit interesting, possibly just staying out a little bit longer to try and get some tyre, well, make the tyres last a little bit longer so they can then put some fresh ones on later on. But yeah, it's a bold strategy call to be staying out there with a lot of damage on that front wing, especially here at Monza.
And a lot of connection issues there for Thomas V, because this is Frederick Vesti in 7th position. He's trying to get past Dan Bieder. They're in 6th place. Great run out of Ascari there. DRS is allowed to be open on this lap. It's lap 3 of the event, and looking to try and work out which is the best way to go and attack this. It's not going to be here, but it's going to be the run out of the Parabolica. Of course, that dirty air and turbulences are not going to be helping through this corner, but it's this run here that's going to be the key. Bieder immediately went defensive to the inside line, but that's not going to matter. Christoph Montz also looking for a move as well then in this one to get past Fletcher, who's on the yellow-walled medium compound tyres, but it looks like Dan Bieder is still fighting this one off against Frederick Vesti, but here's the side-by-side battle on the brakes as they go down through. Vesti's got his position. Has Montz got his? The answer's yes.
Yeah, it was a very, very bold move from Vesti as well, and it was a very solid move up the inside by Montz as well. So two very, very good overtakes just then, and yeah, what a race it's been so far, and a couple of smart moves as well being made by various different drivers.
So this is how the field looks. Ben Fuller leads by 1.9 seconds over David Toth. Michi Kaiser up into 3rd, the king himself. Yartayan in 4th position with Jamie Hall. What a start he's had, actually. Up into 5th place with Vesti 6th, Bieder 7th, as we focus on what is Tom Bolstra trying to get back through the field. Now in 15th position, looking to get 14th. It's Bieder 7th, and there's Michel Kotab, actually, this fight going on 7th and 8th place. It's Aaron Taylor 9th, and Leonardo Marquez rounding out the top 10 then in this field. Michel Kotab wants to get close, wants to get this move done, and at the moment, not quite there, but he's got the DRS to work with. But look at this mid-pack now, which is looking very aggressive. That is Volstra down the inside of Fletcher. No arguments.
Yeah, certainly no arguments there. And Volstra is going to be struggling quite a bit with that damage as a result. And he's going to have Fletcher coming at him very, very quickly. And probably going to lose 3 here at some point if he's not lucky, because Anthony Carr and also Jean-Philippe Gintro is not too far behind either.
Yep, and that's Anthony Cat then with Jean-Philippe Gendron as well in tow as they go on through the opening section of corners and look to try and attack here in this race as much as they possibly can. They're on lap 5 of 35. Now, strategy is going to be key. We know these tyres go off incredibly quickly, especially the softs, but we're looking at maybe a window here, a little bit extended to what it normally is. Lap 17, I think, is the time when most are going to be thinking about the pits, as there is Connor Ryan in the Radicals Online car, looking to try and get himself close to Matthias Ottarola.
Yeah, certainly is going to be wanting to get himself close to Matthias Ottarola, and he was involved in lap 1 as well. Remember, there was Connor, so he's going to want to try and make this one as good of a recovery as he possibly can. Will the Radicals drive there as he's out down Ottarola on the way down to the Asakara chicane?
But Ottarola's going to try and get down the inside. Little bit of contact there. That was Thomas Veek, I believe, they're going off. He's been having those connection issues. And, of course, it's so difficult to place a car when you have a vehicle jumping and pinging around everywhere. That's not going to be ideal. And Veek now back into 22nd place and really starting to struggle. A lot of drivers have struggled in the early stages. Talk about the one with number 1 on the iRacing, Matt Wood. He's a Classics F1 driver by trade. He's all the way down in 26th place.
Yeah, certainly not the place he wants to be at the moment with the iRacing that he's got, that's for sure. But he didn't have that good of a start either. Remember, he was involved in all the carnage that happened at turn 1. So he's dealing with a bit of damage here, and he's already pitted as well. So he's on the medium compound now. So we'll see what he can do from here on in.
Kotab struggling with the dirty air effect then through the opening Lesmo corner into the second Lesmo right now, and the attacking continues then here on the run up the hill. This small left which leads now towards Ascari. They all funnel to the left-hand side of the circuit. They want to avoid a small bump in the road, part of iRacing's laser scanning process of every track that they have, and now moving through the left and on towards this back stretch, looking towards that Parabolica once again. It's a case of not quite close enough. It's worth noting, though, that Ben Fuller hasn't been able to pull away at the rate that he's liked, because David Toth has kept the gap at the front around 2 seconds, which is toasty, I think is the right way to say, for Ben Fuller in the TQ Engineering car. But at the moment, Michel Kotab, we go from the driver's eye perspective here, look at how much pace there's going to be on this straight.
Yeah, DRS activated, so he's going to have the run on the way down into turn 1 on the brakes hard, and not going to give it up easy is Beta, who's going to drive around the outside of him and hold on to the position.
Yep, well held by Daniel Beda. He'll hold on for another lap, but they've got the Curva Grande here, the big long right, which now leads to the Della Roger. If you didn't get it done the first time, here's your chance. Second attempts, again defended by Dan Beda on the brakes, and he's just about got it all sorted again as well as they go through this section. So very, very well done. It's on as well for 11th position right there. In the background, you saw Cedric Beal and Christophe Mons going at it at the moment, but nothing doing between them as they go on through, and they can see just in front, I believe that is Frederick Vesti, who was wanting to get close enough there to one Mr. Jamie Hall for 5th place. But for the time being, this is Mons, this is Beal, this is their fight going on for 11th.
Yeah, it's certainly a nice little group of cars here at the moment, and Volkstra unfortunately dropping away a little bit from this little battle, but Monster's right there and ready to pounce, and he's going to probably get DRS this time around as well. So going to be on his way to making up another place very, very shortly if he can just stay within range.
Ooh. That looked like a spinner in the background there, and it is. There on the outskirts of the Ascari section. Is that Pinsker again, who has gone around then and put himself in trouble? No, it's Jean-Philippe Gendron, then the Canadian, who has run into those troubles then at the Ascari chicane. Here's a Motum simulation replay then to show you exactly what happened. Was trying to attack onto the back of Fletcher here to get this move done. Fletcher was there on the outside. Gendron was trying to get close enough. On the brakes then through the first part of the chicane, that was okay. Second part though, anti-cut curbs there on the inside, unsettles the car and noses it into the wall. It's so easy to do, even the legendary Martin Kroenke did it.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he even had a bigger moment as well than that. So it's one of those things about this track and this car is that you have to keep off those anti-cut curbs or you're going to end up suffering like we've just seen there. Unfortunately, he's lost his front wing as a result of the impact as well, so he's going to be hurting on his way back to pit lane. But at the moment, Vestry applying a lot of pressure to the back of James Hall at the moment. He won't want to pass here so he can get DRS for the straight, but he's going to be getting this move done very, very soon. And Yaltian's not too far up the way road either.
No, absolutely not. He's only 5 seconds down the road. There is Anthony Catt as well, who wants to try and get through. More used to a Skip Barber than he would be a McLaren MP430, but he's going to try and go around the outside here of Sergio Fletcher to try and pick this one up. Vesti side by side with Hall with the DRS as well. Right down there at turn 1. We just cut away at the wrong time, and I think Freddie Vesti has just picked up the position he has. Fletcher right now is hoping that he's going to have to play defensive. Mons has just got through on Cedric Beal, but here comes the move. Anthony Catt down the inside and picking up the place to move inside the top 15.
Yeah, so another place gained by Anthony Catt, and another move as well by Volstra, making his way on by Beal as well. So 2 moves into 1 corner again.
Exactly. You got Tom Volstra in the fiercely forward car at the moment. He is looking like he is trying to move fiercely forward. We'll catch it on the Motum simulation replay. Why don't we? Cameras being operated today by Scott Fountain. As you can see, Cedric Beal, there's nothing you can do on this straight. He's there on the inside. He's tried to cover it off. Volstra's decided, you know what? You may try and defend that inside, but I'm going to take that away from you. And that is effectively move over fast lane quick.
Yeah, certainly was over very, very quickly, and surprised Volstra actually managed to get that move done with the fact that he's got some front wing damage, so maybe it's not quite as bad as we possibly think it is, but nevertheless, he's still on a charge and is going to have Mons not too far up the road from him, and probably going to be making a move on him this time around, I reckon.
Needs to and wants to do so quickly here. Through the Parabolica they go. This is David Toth, though, in second position. 1.8 seconds the gap at the moment to Ben Fuller, as it has been for a long time this race. We're on lap 10 here of 35, so drivers will now start to think about that pit stop window and when's the right time to come in. There'll be more worries as well behind for third and fourth, because Michi Kaiser, the king himself, is being chased down by Jarl Tay, and that gap now down to 1.6.
Yes, certainly. He's being hunted down very, very quickly. So you want to try and get a move on as best as he can, although he was 2 tenths quicker that last time by to Jarl. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here and whether he can hold off TN or not. But certainly going to have to get a move on at some point. Now, both of those drivers, as Vesti's not too far away from catching them.
And Jarl Tayen as well has an amazing distinction as a driver. He has been one of the quickest in iRacing, one of the quickest in R Factor 2, and he is one of the few drivers who has held multiple Pro World Championship licenses in iRacing. That includes a NASCAR license as well, which for a European driver is something that you very rarely see.
Yes, certainly, and it just goes to show how good of a driver he actually is, and especially to get more than one pro license as well, because of the fact that it's not exactly easy to do. So being able to get more than one pro license, let alone be a European, and be able to be competitive in the NASCAR series is really, really something, and a telling sign that he is something special.
Oh, Valstra here is dropping down the times at this stage. I've just caught that out of the corner of my eye. So what has happened to Tom Valstra? He's dived down in and taken a stop on lap 11. This is very early.
Yeah, it certainly is, but possibly what he needs, with the fact that if he does have damage, he wants to get rid of it. So we'll see how long the stop is and whether he does get any damage, and it looks like he is getting damage.
That's a wing change.
So that's a wing change, and he'll drop down the order, but he'll at least now have some straight line speed again.
He's staying on soft compound tyres, though, with that change. You saw he went on the rear jacks and the fronts, so that means that he is most definitely going to be on a new set of tyres. So that's a difference that we're going to be seeing here. Valstra is going to try and undercut everybody and try and hold on old tyres at this stage. Gap at the front is down to 1.3 seconds now. David Toth to Ben Fuller, and Ben Fuller, my goodness, he needs this race right now, you'd say here, Cam, after a disaster, it had to be said, at Silverstone. Points in this series are crucial early on. He needs points now when the strength of field is still high.
Yes, certainly, and he's doing everything right at the moment, although seems to be lacking a little pace compared to Toth, although he's just responded and matched that time the pace that Toth's been putting out in the last few laps. So possibly just been in a little bit of a conservative mode in the last few laps while he's got this gap, but nevertheless, he still needs to focus on getting to the end of the race and making sure he scores as many points as possible.
Exactly. Ben Fuller has done this so many times before, just picking up the lead and making sure he doesn't let go, but he hasn't been in these sorts of fights over the last 3 months when he's been walking away from fields in the Williams FW31. He is someone who is more of a savant in terms of his skills. We look at John Miller III having him, or just seeing Matt Wood then for the moment getting overtaken, I believe, by Tom Valstra up into 22nd position. So that's the difference, old tyres to new, and compound difference as well on the yellow wall mediums to the red walled soft tyres. So Matt Wood, nothing he can do. He has to drop behind car number 1 in this field. He has the highest I rating of anyone. But what we were talking about was Ben Fuller and how much of a savant talent he is. He doesn't know how he gets quick. He just drives it and it goes.
Yeah, it's pretty much one of those sort of cases where you just look at the guy and go, where did he come from? And yep, that's just, he's done everything that he needs to and goes fast, really. So it's see what he does here as we go on board for a lap with him, but he's certainly putting out purple sector after purple sector.
Absolutely. He's got the fastest lap of the day, 1:22.1 at this moment. On the brakes then into the Della Roggia, the left, then the right. And it's all about getting the power down as early as possible, making sure there's rotation in the car. And now through the next rights here, the 2 Lesmo corners. We're running a little bit wide on the exit. Got to be careful of that. And there's a really weird camber as you go through the second Lesmo. It does love to spit you out onto the curb effectively through that section. Now the run up to Ascari, and this is where commitment's needed. And now more commitment needed from Ben Fuller. The gap's down to 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, so Toth is starting to reel him in actually, and if he's not careful, Toth's going to have the DRS very, very shortly. So wait and see what he does. But as he heads on with the way down it to the Parabolica, hard on the brakes as late as he possibly can, but not backing it up too late to get the run onto the front straight. And that is an on-board lap with Ben Fuller, who's driven it absolutely unbelievably quick, but that gap is sort of stabilizing. It's interesting seeing the difference. So Ben Fuller clearly setting the car up with a little bit more straight line in mind rather than cornering speed as he's losing time through the Lesmos.
He certainly is, and it's that mid-sector where really David Toth is gaining an advantage here in terms of this race. I do want to have a little look, though, back to 8th and 9th position because Mikhail Kotab is starting to actually drop back a couple of tenths of a second here and is falling right into the clutches of Aaron Taylor, who hasn't really been seen since the lap 1 incident.
Yeah, and it was about over half a second that last time by in favour of Taylor. So Taylor starting to reel in Kotab here quite nicely, actually, and possibly starting to struggle on those tyres as Kotab.
Yeah, so Kotab here and is starting to fall backwards ever so slightly. On the brakes they go, into the left and the right. There is the CXR car looking to try and make some work of positions right now, but is simply put not quite there just yet. But there is time, and that's a mistake then, going wide inside of the second Lesmo. How often do you see a move there?
Yeah, certainly it was very, very brave to throw it up the inside was Taylor and managed to make it work as well because he didn't actually lose out on the exit. So very, very nice move there by Aaron Taylor. But now this is going to put Kotab with a favour, well, in favour of DRS. So he's going to have DRS to probably try and hunt down Aaron Taylor, but Taylor may just have enough pace to make that not a thing.
Well, you have to remember as well, the way that Taylor made the move, he managed to get himself some DRSs into the pits, I believe, comes Michi Kaiser from 3rd position then in this race. So Michi Kaiser, the first of the real takers onto the lane. Now this is going to be interesting for the NHR esports driver.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be quite interesting to see how this strategy plays out from lap 15. So we weren't far off in terms of making a strategy call, but certainly going to come out some traffic, and that's not probably what he's going to want, especially with the fact that he's now on brand new tyres and it's going to be wanting to use them as best as he can.
Yeah, he's got a Radicals car to try and get by. He's got, of course, that brilliant battle there with Sergio Fletcher. So Javi Rose will have to be overtaken in the not-too-distant future. On the brakes they go into the Della Roggia right now. There's a puff of smoke on the brakes. And there goes... that is Sergio Fletcher there going around.
Yeah, just a little bit too keen on the gas pedal with Sergio Fletcher, and as a result, just ended up looping it on the exit. Did look like he clipped that inside curb and it unsettled the rear as well, so that wouldn't have helped his cause at all, and he's going to have dropped way down to just ahead of JD Milson behind Tanner McCulloch, so down into 18th. But this is going to be quite interesting to see what Michi can do and whether he can use these tyres now that he's got, well, he's going to have DRS this time behind Harvey Rose, but he's not got so much traffic ahead of him.
Yeah, but the key is that he is very impatient right now, as there is Dan Beeder in 3rd position. There's your race leader into the pits, Ben Fuller, on lap 16 of 35. He'll be out and away in 4th place. Jamie Hall also into the pits. Frederick Vesti in as well. So look at where Fuller's come out. He's in traffic of his own right now. And what was key to see is that he's got to be careful there. I think there was a little bit of contact with Leonardo Marquez just in front. Christoph Montz is there, who's made a way through. Marquez struggling a little bit right now, and he wants to be maybe more Marc Marquez than Tasso Marquez here, but he has to let the place go.
Yeah, and he does so nicely without losing too much time. Now, if he can use Ben Fuller to his advantage to drag him on through towards Montz, he'll be able to get a move done on Montz at some stage, but he's going to have to work here with Ben Fuller to make sure that he doesn't lose too much time.
Yes, and that's the key, but he's got to stay close enough, and that's going to be so tough with someone who is on on new tyres right now, like Ben Fuller is. Someone like Marquez on old tyres is going to really struggle here to try and get things going. Now, this is going to bring another strategy into play, as in comes David Toth from the race lead. Yartayan then will take control of things at the front of the field, but David Toth now will have a one-lap overcut, on Ben Fuller. He can use those tyres to his advantage the same way he tried to do last week against Attila Tassi.
Yes, certainly he can use that to his advantage. So we'll see whether he can do it. But Toth is coming out just barely ahead, but he's not going to have the run. And as a result, Ben Fuller is barely
hello.
going to have the advantage on the left-hand side. Going to be on the right-hand side. Toth's going to have the outside. And it's going to just barely do enough.
Carbon fibre to carbon fibre, and there is the change for the race lead. David Toth goes ahead, but Ben Fuller's tyres are up to temperature right now. Will he attack into the Della Roggia? No, he will not. He will stay patient, he will sit, he will wait. He wants clear cut, and he wants opportunity. There in the background going off then is Leonardo Marquez, who's going to take a slowdown penalty for the troubles right now, but now Yartayan here will be licking his chops, because if Toth and Fuller start to fight, Yartayan will reel them in.
Yeah, he certainly will, and it's going to be one of those things that if Yartan can time it right, he'll be able to challenge for the lead here, but it doesn't look like Fuller and Toth are trying to fight each other at all, and Fuller probably trying to set himself up for DRS as well, so we'll see what happens and whether Yartan can do anything here as he's coming into the lane, so
doesn't
it's
need it.
Close as Fuller's up the inside of the Parabolica, but Toth's going to have the run on the exit, and he's going to actually have DRS as Fuller as he was in the right zone or in the right place for the detection zone.
Well, they're side by side, and now look at this. Toth straight in, Tayan's in the lane, so he will fall back out into line, but Ben Fuller has the lead of the race, but that very nearly ended in total disaster at Parabolica there. He really did assert his space on the track and effectively scared David Toth to the outside line to make sure that he had enough room. There's Kaiser now up into third position, and everybody now is thinking about, okay, where are we now? What position are we in? There is Yartayan, but he is now thinking about looking forward more rather than looking back.
Yeah, certainly. The new tyres, probably the freshest out there at the moment as well. He'll be wanting to utilise them as best as he can and try and possibly hunt down the likes of Toth and Fuller, although they're a long way up the road, so he's got a bit of work to do, but he's going to have his hands full at the moment as Kaiser's actually not too far ahead of him, so if he can use these tyres as best as he can, he might be able to get another position.
Well, Michi Kaiser will want everything. Here is Toth again, though, trying to chase this down. Lap 18 of 35. We're over the halfway stage as they make the drag towards Parabolica Corner. And this is where setup differences really do come into play. Through the big right-hander. And now looking to set up this run on the straight. It will be all about David Toth's run right now. And he's been in this position before. He's got the advantage. He's now just got to use it here on this run. Fuller's trying to defend this one, but to the outside goes David Toth, and he has it done before they hit the brakes. Toth takes the lead.
Yeah, he's barely got it for the time being, though, as Fuller's going to now be within draft rate. We're going to have the draft off David Toth, so we'll see what Ben Fuller can try and do here. Although he's got nice gaps back to Ben Fuller, has David Toth, so might not be enough for Ben Fuller to try and close back down, and this is where Toth's going to actually make a mistake.
Oh, he's going to come back on, and through goes Ben Fuller then. There's a slowdown penalty for David Toth. He's got to do it all over again. But has he served it all there by going a little bit wide? He's got 40 seconds, and I think he just about has. So David Toth then, who will serve it now and drop the time here on a safe pass of straight, gives Ben Fuller an out, and now those tyres have to be used. That was pure pressure from the reigning iRacing Grand Prix Series champion.
Yes, certainly not the mistake that David Toth will have wanted, and that's cost him a lot of time, and as a result, Ben Fuller's going to just disappear up the road. But here's a modem simulation replay of what's happened. It did look like it was a weird moment for Toth, but on board with him here into the second chicane, and just runs a little bit deeper. Just locks it inside front and runs wide as a result.
So easy to do. You look for your marker, you hit your marker. The moment you're 5 meters out here or there, it puts you in trouble. And now that gap is 2.2 seconds. And David Toth has got to do it all over again here to try and chase down this race win. It's on for it's on for third position right now. Look at the gap between Michi Kaiser and Yartayan as they go on through. That's 1 second there or thereabouts. Michi Kaiser's just starting to pull away a little bit, but we've got a few drivers here and there on alternative strategies right now, mainly Sergio Fletcher and Tanner McCulloch.
Yes, certainly, and it's just one of those things. Just consistency is seemingly paying off for a number of these drivers at the moment, and fighting hard isn't really going to be doing any favors, especially around this sort of track where you're trying to be working together. But nevertheless, it's we'll see what Tien can do here. Is he's not too far behind. Mishi can do with Kai's Tien here as they head on down towards Ascari, and that was a bit of an odd line there from Tien as well.
Yes, of course, they're trying to avoid that bump, which is under the bridge, which, of course, does unsettle the car and can very easily spear you off into the barriers if you are not too careful. This is the battle for 18th and 19th. John Pat Kelly, established veteran of Grand Prix Series racing. He's up against the Radicals Online driver, Connor Ryan, who will want to be trying to gain back as much time as possible here as they go towards the left-right chicane of the Variante della Roggia, the second chicane out on track. And for the time being, it looks like Connor Ryan is trying to set this one up, but this is not the traditional place to set up a move. This will be all about the waiting game here out of this corner to get DRS and attack it into Ascari.
Yes, certainly. He's going to set this one up as Connor, and he's going to have DRS on the way down into Ascari, so see what he can do. Not going to be close enough for a move done. I'll think better of it as well to try and do it on the way into turn one as well. Much easier and much more prime overtaking opportunity, but it's very close and could easily make a move on the way into Parabolica if he got close enough, but not quite going to be there this time around.
Nope, not at Parabolica, but maybe on the front stretch. John Pat Kelly doing a good job right now. The TQ Engineering setup here, absolutely flying with everything at this stage. But now here comes where the attack for Connor Ryan starts to build. But again, it looks like he's down in a straight line in comparison. He can't close it up. In fact, he's dropping time compared to John Pat Kelly, and he can't get the move done. This is where things really start to get interesting. Now, focus on the race lead because David Toth is catching hand over fist. The gap's down to 1.5 seconds. Why? Fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so Fuller and Toth trading times with each other at the moment. Possibly you have to wonder if maybe Ben Fuller has some damage, but who knows, as he was doing a little bit slower times earlier on as well, and possibly just being in conservative mode to save those tyres for the end. But we'll have to wait and see whether he has done exactly that or whether he does actually have a little bit of damage that he's having to deal with. So we'll wait and see, but Toth is closing up very quickly.
He certainly is, as is this battle. Tom Volstra, Cedric Beale going at it together. Here's a little look to the inside, and you know what? Beale just lifted out of that and said, I'm having none of the fiercely forward driver. You can move up into 13th position. So Tom Volstra then jumps up a place past the Frenchman Cedric Beale, and now it's about next stages here as they start to attack. And what's my next battle? We're on lap 22 of 35, just 14 laps remaining, well, 13 and a half, or nearly 13 laps to go for Ben Fuller and David Toth at the front of the field. But there have been some really good drives. I'm still intrigued to know where Tanner McCulloch and Sergio Fletcher come out in all of this one, Cam.
Yeah, looking at the current positions that they are in, McCulloch in 7th and Fletcher in 8th, currently battling quite hard with each other, actually, and Fletcher's probably going to be in favour of possibly getting a move done if he can get a nice run out of Ascari and the Parabolica. He's going to be in the right position for DRS activation, but he's looking to the inside at the Parabolica and going to possibly look to make a move at the inside, but not going to do it and not going to be close enough to either, so he's going to have DRS on the way and to turn one now, whereas McCulloch's going to have to try and go defensive here. We'll see what he can do on the way down to turn at number 1. DRS activated now for Fletcher as they hit the detection zone. He's going to have the run into turn 1, goes to the inside, and it's going to be an easy pass.
And just like that, down the inside, easily done. There is that move, so up into 7th place goes Sergio Fletcher. Now, here's the other key that we've got in this one. These two are both on the yellow-walled medium compound tyre, so this could be a case of that yellow-walled tyre just lasting a little bit longer in terms of where they are in the race. They've got to be a little bit worried about what's behind. Mikhail Kotab is there just a couple of seconds down the road, and they'll be thinking that 7th place may not be able to be held in the not-too-distant future.
Yes, certainly. He's going to try and hold on to it, and he's going to at least give it a red hot go, is Tanner McCulloch to try and get that extra position, but we'll have to wait and see. Still plenty of racing to go, so it's going to be only a matter of time.
And time is of the essence here in this one. Laps go so quickly. It's only an 80-second lap around this 5+ kilometer circuit. And this Autodromo Nazionale Monza has seen it all over the course of history. So now into the Parabolica Corner. Kotab brings the gap down under 2 seconds. McCulloch is really locking up those tyres into Parabolica. He's got to be careful about that and the way that he goes about the way he's racing. Gap remains 1.2. It had gone up to 1.5 at the front of the field, but now down again to 1.2. Now 1.1 here for David Toth. He's just outside of that DRS range, but of course, Ben Fuller likes the middle sector.
Yeah, he certainly does like it, doesn't he? So he's going to try his best to close that gap down as David Toth, but the gap just sort of fluctuating between being enough and not being enough. So he's needing to try and put his foot down a little bit more, possibly struggling with a little bit of tyre wear as well. So we'll see what happens as this race progresses. Only about 10 laps to go. Well, 11 laps to go, sorry, this time around. So we'll see what happens.
We certainly will, and this is going to be something worth keeping in mind here at this stage. Michi Kaiser and Jarl Tayen, that gap just creeps under a second as they had to negotiate a little bit of lap traffic then on the entry towards the Parabolica Corner. It's exactly 1 second, DRS wide open for Jarl Tayen, and that's music to his ears. He'll be able to close in now on Michi Kaiser a hell of a lot easier right now, and this is going to be a case where Michi is going to have to play defense here from now to the end.
Yeah, he certainly is going to have to play defense from here on out, but shouldn't have too many struggles doing it. Although Tien, again, very, very experienced driver, so he shouldn't have too many issues catching up to the back of Kaiser, but who knows?
Who knows indeed. Kotab and Bida, nose to tail, they're not going to change, but we just saw in the background trying to close in Anthony Cat and Tom Volstra there together. So Cat at the moment holds that place for the time being, but this is the issue. Mikhail Kotab, for all the pace, Dan Bida's quick, and there is Tanner McCulloch, and that is not very far away at this stage. A bit of traffic, though, through the mid part of the Della Roggia will impede those behind in 9th and 10th place, but McCulloch now will have to defend, and Toth is inside 1 second.
Yeah, he's now right within range to be able to possibly get a move done, and he's at least going to have DRS as well, so we'll see what he can do and whether he's going to be able to make anything of this, but it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass.
Murray Walker said that so many times. It was vintage Murray Walker when he said that. But for those two at the front, Ben Fuller and David Toth, they know the one thing they can't afford to do is come together. Michi Kaiser, Jarl Tayen, and they're 10 seconds down the road, but they know it's a battle between those two for the race victory here today. It will be one of those drivers 99 times out of 100. So what can you do? Here comes back, or actually here comes through Mikhail Kotab, who gets it done on Tanner McCulloch. New tyres versus old, and there are soft tyres versus mediums, and there is the reason why McCulloch is now going to be dropping backwards, and the third word is still backwards.
Yeah, he certainly is, and there's quite the pace differential as well, over a second between Kotab and McCulloch, but then you've also got Bida and also Mont's not too far behind as well, and Mont's nearly 2 seconds quicker as well that last time by, so there's a lot of pace in Mont's car at the moment, and Bida will be wanting to find a way on by shortly as well.
Ben Fuller, the gap down to 7/10 of a second. David Toth is just encroaching slowly here on Ben Fuller. Wants to leave it to as late of a point as possible, knowing that these two could trade places every single lap. They have that pace. They have showcased it. They have idolized it at this stage. But now you start to wonder here, has David Toth timed this run to perfection? There is Daniel Bida, the Israeli driver, looking to attack Tanner McCulloch here, the Canadian, as they go in towards Parabolica. Here's the chance, and they can see in the background Christoph Mons, who wants to get through both of these drivers, PD and Q. Here comes the move.
Yes, certainly. Here comes the move from Bida up to the to the right-hand side of the track, and Mons is even going to follow him through. He's going to make a move on McCulloch as Mons, but he's not quite going to be doing enough to get Bida. He's going to be on the outside here. He'll get the run off the corner, and as a result, will take the position off McCulloch, who's going to lose 2 in 1 pretty much.
Yeah, McCulloch's really struggling here at this stage, and it's just what he has to do from now to the end. It's lap 27 of 35. It's not going to be worth your time coming in, getting a set of tyres and leaving again. The pit lane time, it's too long around this Monza circuit for that to be a reality. So now Bieder's focus is on Kotab once again, who hasn't been able to chase down Sergio Fletcher, who is finding some real love out of the medium compound tyre and is absolutely walking well at this stage here in terms of this race. There is Toth, half a second now, the gap down to Ben Fuller, and this is patience mode that we're going to be seeing from David Toth. He's got to work out when the right time to strike is. Time to play chess at 330 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the big question is going to be, do you pass now and try and run away, or do you pass it on the last lap and use that to your advantage? It's going to be one of those big questions that you sit and think about as a driver for many, many minutes. But wait and see what he decides to do and whether Toth's going to try and run away here. You can see the sun glare starting to become a factor as well, with the fact that it's quite late in the afternoon as well.
Yes, and that's going to be just a little thing that will be annoying a couple of drivers. They have to refocus and work out where their braking markers are. This track ever changing, of course, and it's a credit to the work that's been done. Jarl dropping down the order, though, has made a mistake and has dropped behind Freddie Vesti then. So Jarl with a mistake has now dropped back into 5th position. He was on the back of one Mr. Michi Kaiser. So that one not working at all. And big wide at the second Lesmo. What happened there?
Yeah, not quite sure what happened there. It did look like you possibly... It did look like he possibly just touched the grass, but Toth is looking to make a move around the outside, but not going to be able to get it do, or not going to be able to do it, and Fuller will retain the lead for the time being, but Toth's trying everything he can at this stage.
Well, we were going to see what happened with one Mr. Yarte, and we're not going to be able to, but this is what happened. Toth had to go the long way around at turn 1, trying to fight this one off at the Rettifilo, but narrow on the inside curb. Nothing you can do. Ben Fuller commanding the middle of the road with respect as he went on through. Some brilliant battling between these two, and it continues right now. Let's go back to live pictures, why don't we? Because there was no move into the Della Roggia out there on track. But this is where it all is going to be on at this stage. Up the hill in towards Ascari here. The left, right, left section. Ben Fuller needs a little bit of a gap, but David Toth is trying to give it everything.
Yeah, he certainly is trying to give it everything at the moment to try and close that gap down and try and get into the lead of this race. It is David Toth, but not quite close enough for a move at the Parabolica, but he's going to have DRS on the way down to turn 1. Probably not quite going to be close enough to get a move done into turn 1 either this time around at least.
Well, here's where patience needs to come into play. 6 laps to work with. Traffic on the horizon as well as they jam on the brakes into the opening section as they go through the lefts and the rights. It's Aaron Taylor in the CXR car in front in 20th position. That's what they're chasing down, and they need traffic to cooperate if you're Ben Fuller. If it doesn't, David Toth might try to use the traffic as a pick. Little look into the mirrors then, into the Della Roggia. He's trying every trick in the book right now. Here to try and get through. It's Aaron Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor going for a spin. Unfortunately, that's going to be his chances of trying to get 19th off John Pat Kelly, and did exactly the same thing as we saw someone do earlier, Sergio Fletcher do. So, unfortunately, not what he's going to have wanted.
And there's Christoph Mons. He's through up now into 8th position. And is that Ben Fuller who's just lost the position at the worst possible time? It is up to Ascari. How on earth do you do that one then? David Toth just caught Ben Fuller napping.
Or did he? Because Ben Fuller's now going to have the DRS activation for turn number 1 now. So this is going to be interesting to see whether he can come back at him or not. Good on the way into Parabolica and good on the exit as well. Or a little bit of oversteer, but he looks like he might be close enough to come back at him here.
Well, we're going to see this now. Let's go back to live straight away. David Toth, the gap half a second. Then that move absolutely fantastic then in terms of what's happened. But Fuller not close enough into turn 1, turn 2, but has seen the mistake already today. Will want to try and make it happen again here with 5 laps to go. Here just on the outskirts of Milan.
Yeah, certainly not long left in this race, so he needs to use up the tyres that he's got and use what he can really as he comes through the second chicane and nearly ends up off the road, just barely clips the gravel, but he's doing enough for the time being to hold on to the draft and DRS activation range from Toth.
Exactly, this is the key, trying to make it all work late on in the race. There are battles up and down the order. Sergio Fletcher's under pressure from Christoph Mont, but the race lead is going on. Toth with the fastest lap of the race so far. The gap 0.6 of a second, and that might just be defendable at this stage. Remember, Ben Fuller here has 1 lap older tyres, but Toth has been a little bit more aggressive on them. What a fantastic Ascari chicane. Again, Ben Fuller has, and he closes that gap down to nearly 0.3 of a second going through the Parabolica Corner, and this could be Ben Fuller back to the front here with 4 laps remaining in this race. Look at that, all the way to the pit entry there or thereabouts from David Toth. Is this Ben Fuller's chance to take the position back again? He's going to look late here to try and get this one done. He thinks about the inside, and it's only mirrors.
Yeah, only going to be filling those mirrors, unfortunately, not quite close enough to get a move done, but still knows he's got decent range to try and close down that car of Daniel Beaton. We'll have to wait and see what he can do. David Toth, sorry.
So replay going up on screen then for you here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a green vehicle that you can see right now going through the long right of Curva Grande Corner and looking to attack. This is Jamie Hall in 6th position right now, but this is Yartayan in 5th place that we see at this stage. He is now looking to try and get himself close. There has been a change for 7th and 8th place, but Tayan here looked to try and get himself a little bit closer to where he was as he went on through, and ultimately here, I think this is where we see the mistake happen. So this is going through the right, and this is, nope, that's all fine. So I believe we've seen a whole lot of not much.
Yeah, probably wrong lap there for Yaltin, unfortunately, to see the incident, but nevertheless, it's a mistake that he didn't want to make earlier on, and as a result, it's probably
it's close.
carrying a bit of damage, and it's very close now for the lead. It's been Fuller to the inside on the way into turn number 1, and has got the job done.
He has. What a brilliant move with 3 laps to go. Toth now could attack back here on the run to the Della Roggia. There's no DRS through this section, but what you have is that tow, that slipstream, which is so vital through Curva Grande. You can go and attack with the run that you've got. There will be harvesting a little bit of energy through the automatic energy recovery systems that are available to them, but ultimately, Ben Fuller has the race lead, and crucially, it's a lot easier to defend from the front than attack from behind at times.
Yeah, especially with 2 laps to go as well, which means he's not going to be taking too much of a beating to try and hold off at David Toth either. So we'll see what he can do from here on out. But Christopher Mons and Daniel Beater fighting Beater on through to gain the position.
Yep, he's past Sergio Fletcher then for 8th place, and Fletcher tries to hold on to a top 10 in this one. He should be able to on the medium compound tyre. There's been some brilliant strategy here in this one, but at the moment, it seems like Dan Bede has started to struggle a bit. Look at Toth through Parabolica. He's right up underneath again, and he might just try and get the inside back again. 2 to go now at the line here at Monza, and David Toth, the Hungarian, looks to try and take on the Indiana man down the inside, tyre to tyre, and that is fantastic as they slam on the brakes. Toth is back to the front again.
Yes, certainly. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them nearly, but managing to just barely get away with it. Now, this is the big question. Does Ben Fuller pass next lap, or does he pass this lap? Because with 2 laps to go, you're not going to want to time this wrong.
No, there's not much of a run out to the final corner, so if you're going to time this, you're going to have to be very brave in order to make this happen. Ben Fuller cannot afford mistakes early. He's used 1 of the 4 drop rounds available to him. He does not want to use another one, and there's a mistake there, as he just has to try and gather up the car again, and that is the breathing room that Toth was looking for. It's now half a second that he's got to play with here as they take the race cam and go through Ascari.
Exactly what Toth's going to want, but Toth's just made a mistake through the exit of Ascari as well, so it's both of them dealing with all the pressure that they've got. Toth's trying to break the draft on the way down to the Parabolica, but Fuller is going to have the DRS detection on the way into the Parabolica, so he's going to have the advantage on the way into turn number 1 this time around. Not going to be close enough to make a move, but it's going to be exactly the advantage that he's going to need in terms of straight line speed to catch back up.
Where do you make the move if you're Ben Fuller? You've got 1 lap to make it happen. Defensive line taken already then by... Let's try around the outside anyway. Why not? Inside for turn 2. Scott's got the outside line, holds the position for the moment. But you've got Curva Grande. You've got the Della Roggia. That's the next prime place to go and make some moves. This is all about overtaking. And Fuller's going to have to go the long way around here as they go through tyre to tyre as they hit the Della Roggia. And top line inside. In the side. And Fuller scampers away. And suddenly Ben Fuller's got enough. David Toth tried everything, he outbroke himself again, and now again, it might be back-to-back second places for David Toth. Ben Fuller somehow can scamper away and just about deal with it. We'll replay it after the race. Kaiser's not close enough, Vesti's not close enough, Tayan's not close enough. But Ben Fuller right now has only a couple of corners to go here in terms of this one. There's a fight between Fletcher and Kotap for 9th and 10th. We'll keep an eye on that one. But Ben Fuller's coming up to Parabolica right now as he looks to try and attack, as that is Kotap going through on Sergio Fletcher. But Ben Fuller, it all came to blows on the final corner. And welcome back, reigning champ, to take, a penalty, a drive-through penalty on the last lap. So Toth's going to win this one. David Toth wins because Ben Fuller's got a penalty.
Finish this race. Who would have thought that that would have been the way to finish this race, especially for the lead as well? What an unbelievable finish.
Well, we'll get a replay then. I think that just sent Ben Fuller over the instant point limit then, right at the end of the event. So here's where all of the accident happens then, as they go on further forward in terms of this one. And we're taking it all the way back, this battle here, to the penultimate lap onto the final lap, Cam. And the key was Ben Fuller was absolutely magnificent. In fact, I think we're a little bit further away even from that point.
Might be a little bit further away, but this is probably gonna be the move around the outside, and he did an amazing job to try and do it around the outside as well.
Well, he certainly did, but that was Fuller in front, and then in second position was David Toth, so we are a long way away from that one. In fact, that's Aaron Taylor in front, so we're about 5 laps, a little bit too far away at this point in time. So this is going to have to be all about finding exactly where we need to be here in the late stages, but there's the incident there that we just see. Let's rewind it back from this point. David Toth then as he went on through. So Toth here has left himself with a big decision. It's pretty much about how streamlined are you going to be. It was almost like watching the Renaults go at it tomorrow at Russia, really, that we see from Ben Fuller on the brakes around the outside. And he absolutely planted it well. But Toth got a great run here off the exit. But that just opened the door then for turn number 4, being the next place to attack. You can see this from Ben Fuller as he looked to try and get on through. He gets himself to the outside. Toth now knows he's losing the straight line battle. And in last of the late breakers, Toth just cannot get it going through. And he just runs out of road and just doesn't turn it.
Yep. We're just locking the inside front, and as a result just can't pull the car up, unfortunately, and hit the curb as well, so that didn't help his cause at all. But somehow Ben Fuller managed to just get away with it. Unfortunately, David Toth had to settle for what he had, well, at least he thought he had, until he came out of the final corner. And hello, one Mr. Ben Fuller sitting in pit lane entry.
Yeah, and look at the incident points. David Toth, 23. Ben Fuller up there at 20 incident points. In terms of incidents, you get a drive-through penalty at 17 incidents. So there has been a huge amount of changing come the end of this event. So now this is why official classified results are going to be like this, because both Toth and Fuller have both picked up penalties. So Michi Kaiser, by default, picks up the race win then after 35 laps of battle and wins by 13 seconds over Freddie Vesti in second position. Jarl Tayan will be elevated up to a podium position. 2 Scandinavians on the podium with Jamie Hall in 4th, and with the penalty crossing the line, David Toth will be relegated back to 5th place. Ben Fuller came down in trying to serve that penalty on the last lap, but he will be relegated down to 6th position with the penalty applied in post. He will learn that for the future. He would have been ahead of David Toth had he just made the run to the line. Christoph Montz will get 7th position ahead of Daniel Bieder in 8th. Ninth position would go to Sergio Fletcher on the medium compound tyre alternative strategy, and Mikhail Kotab rounding out the top 10.
Got Leandro Marquez in 11th, followed by Anthony Catt in 12th, Cedric Beale in 13th, 14th to Tanner McCulloch in the end after dropping down the order quite a bit. Matt Wood rounding out the top 15, Edu Villa 16th, Connor Ryan 17th, 18th to Aaron Taylor, John Pat Kelly 19th, and rounding out the top 20 will be Tom Volstra.
One lap down, and now we start to hit lap down and retirement central. Thomas Veek was struggling with internet connection all race long. He gets 21st. Jean-Philippe Gendron, two little ducks for Jean as he gets 22nd position out there. Dennis Branch didn't have the best run of things today. James J. Pinsker went around twice to finish 24th, one lap down. Jody Mills, 2 laps down. A race to forget for Jody. And the retirements, there were 4 of them in total, and they belonged to John Miller III, Javi Rose, Matthias Ottarola, and Jose Plaguazelos Langa, making up the 29 that took to racing here today. And it was entertaining from start all the way to finish, Cam. And you simply put, cannot believe your luck if your name is Michi Kaiser.
You certainly can, especially after being in a position where you thought no chance of a win was going to happen. And then, well, hello, the floodgates have opened and there's the win. So, yeah, what a finish to this race, and what a race in general. Who would have thought the leaders would come together on the final lap and as a result, third place would win?
It's absolutely maddening as you see all of the amazing action that goes on. And the best bit is it happens again in 1 week's time here with SimSpeed TV. We go to another classic in terms of racing legacy. It is the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in 1 week's time. And the only place you can catch it is here. So if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. You can do whatever the trimmings are needed to make sure you watch more amazing sim racing brought to you by SimSpeed TV. And if you haven't already, go over and get yourself a like, share, and subscribe on the iRacing Esports Network, because we head to Interlagos in what is just about 9 hours time or so, because we will be looking at Interlagos for what is the next round of the V8 Scops Championship. It's Madison Down versus Forzan El Nabi in that one. You want to make sure that you join in for that. Massive thanks go to Motum Simulation then on the replays for this one, as well as, of course, the work that's been done by everyone behind the scenes, from Scott Fountain, who's been on the cameras, from one Mr. Cameron Dance alongside me. My name's been Jake Sperry, and, well, the Kaiser, the king, stands tall above above the rest, and rules fantastically, benevolently here in terms of the victory. He didn't earn it on the track. He had to rely on fortune, but when you play with instant points and you battle to the very, very limit, you can't afford to be frugal with those instant points. They do bite back. Ben Fuller has thrown points away for the second consecutive week, and David Toth will know that that was another opportunity at a race win that has just gone awry. We'll see you at Spa-Francorchamps for some more amazing racing action from the iRacing Grand Prix series.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing!
Lee to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save!
Look to the outside, and Trunke goes off. De Jong into second place.
Are going
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
He's trying this contact though.
Slide left to the racetrack. Chris Venner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the Parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the Parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schubert, there's a